I'll fill in the space until we begin. How's that? It's a strange idea to walk around in so much fear. Strange is the game, strange is the game we play as we go around. Oh, without making a sound, we go around. Oh, without making a sound, we go around and around and around without making. So make a sound. This shit's gonna go down. The shit's gonna go down, 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 down. And it will be all too late to turn the mess that we've made around. It will be all too late to turn the mess we've made around. So making a sound, we go around. Oh, without making a sound, we go around and around and around without making. Oh, so make a sound. Free Julian! Yes! And make a sound. Sound. Woo! Yeah, free Julian!
Lismore demands free Julian Assange now! Lismore demands free Julian Assange now! Lismore demands free Julian Assange now! Lismore demands free Julian Assange now!
Okay, welcome everybody. I'd just like to do a short acknowledgement to country. My name's Eddie Lloyd. We stand on land that was never ceded, land of the Widjabul people of the Bundjalung Nation. And I pay my respects past, present and emerging. And I'd also like to note something that Julian Assange's dad has said about Julian's time here in Lismore, and he said that it was here that the genius of Julian grew, from the soil that's here in this country, not Australia, but Widjabul country. And it was just down the road at the foot of Banyan where Julian spent some time cultivating what he was to become and being groomed by this amazing community that is Lismore. So I am a lawyer and a double-speak translator, accredited recently. I can translate in courts wherever is required to cut through some of that spin and interpret it into layperson's language. I'm very passionate about educating people about what's actually going on and how to critically analyse news and know what is fake news and what is the truth. And nowhere is that more important than when we're looking at the case of Julian Assange and also David McBride, who's facing sentence in a couple of weeks. And today I was actually thinking of everything that's going on in the world, in Gaza and the Assange appeal hearing and McBride's sentence and AUKUS and the US election and the federal election here and all of those things that are on the horizon. And I just thought, I wish that we were preoccupied with peace and not war. I wish that we were preoccupied with promoting transparency and truth and not secrets and lies. And, you know, I thought, I don't want to come across really negative tonight, but I've got to keep correcting myself about that. I'm just giving facts, you know, and people can call that negative if they want. It is negative, I guess, that's the reality, but I won't be criticised anymore for speaking the truth and that being characterised in anything other than what it is, and that's the truth. But of course now what we're seeing in Julian's case and other cases, Cleary, McBride and whatnot, and all around the world, I'm quite sure, is we're seeing the criminalisation of truth. Not just truth tellers, but the criminalisation of truth. And when we think of Julian Assange as a journalist, and I think of all of those sad fatalities of journalists in Gaza, these people are the messengers. And they always have been the messengers of truth. And they're the people that governments constantly want to get out of the way so they can speak their own, well, it's not called truth, it's called propaganda. And so that's why this case is so important, because if we don't have reporters giving us the truth, we have politicians giving us their version, and that's propaganda. And if we don't have free speech, and if we're threatened with jail and death by process, then we're not living in a democracy anymore. And they're really, really serious issues that we need to start talking about beyond here today. I'm not disappointed at how many people turn up to these kinds of events. I've been to quite a few for Assange and other truth tellers, because every single one of you is a seed, and every single one of you can spread the message. And every single revolution has begun with one person. And I have no doubt, we know that this revolution of Julian Assange started right here in Widjabul country. So he's someone that I look up to, and he's someone that I want to follow, and he's someone that gives me the confidence to speak truth to power and not be shut down no matter what. People like Julian Assange, David McBride, Bernard Cleary, and also Navalny, who recently was murdered in jail, suffering from a blood clot, which I'm told is code for, you know, assassination by Putin. So we can't let these deaths and intimidation intimidate us anymore. So I don't want to take up too much time because that's just boring, and there's some awesome musos here today to send some more messages. I just went and watched the Bob Marley movie on the weekend with my son, and just reminded me of, you know, they might try and shut us down, you know, when we speak at these events, and, you know, crack down on us with protest laws and whatnot, and try to jail, you know, people speaking truth to power like Julian Assange. But we have music, you know, and that is like an ancient form of communication. And I think that's what we've got here today, and we've got to keep trying to speak to as many musicians in the world that we can to really get on board this campaign and start writing music and communicating, because that is a message that people can hear sometimes better than politicians or people like me talking at events like this. So I don't underestimate the arts in regard to political action. So for Julian, I'm not sure if we'll hear. He's on day 2 of the appeal hearing in the UK Royal Courts. I myself don't think we'll actually hear a decision. We might do, but I think it would be very, I think the court will be very cautious about looking like they've made a decision on the run, and I think they're more likely to you know, adjourn it for judgment. But they could very easily say, we've made a decision, the appeal is denied, therefore he can be extradited, and we'll deliver our judgment, written judgment, on a later date. So they could do that. And if that's the case, then he could be, you know, bundled up in a van and extradited. And once he's in the hands of the US, well, we all know it's too late there. He has maybe got an opportunity to appeal in the European Court of Human Rights, but as we're seeing more and more these days, even with the ICJ to an extent, those courts as well are becoming politicised as well. So it would be a very, very frightening decision if the appeal is denied and he is sent off to the death chamber in the US. He will face trial in the Eastern District of Virginia, which is densely populated with spooks and spies, as McBride would call them. They are, you know, intelligence officials in the US and their families, so that's where the jury pool is going to come from. So there's a grave concern that Julian is not going to get a fair trial at all. Well, I think we all knew that. I'm not sure if it's going to be public or not, or if everything's going to be deemed dangerous, classified information and held in secret. But look, Julian has sat there for 5 years in Belmarsh in the most intolerable conditions, off the back of 7 years holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy. And he hasn't given up. John Shipton told us when he was in town recently that how he keeps himself sane is he walks up and down his cell as though he's going to different countries. So he's visited Spain, he's visited Italy, and he's visited France. But has he visited Lismore in his cell? I'm not sure. But I think we've got to, like, really, you know, do what we can here and not give up, because I think that's the message that Julian is telling us all. You know, he's in very grave health and we need to take the baton up now and do everything we can. And what can we do? It's not too late. It's never too late. We have to keep talking about it, because the issue of the shutdown of free speech and journalism should send a chill through everyone's backsides. And the fact that there's not as many people here as, I mean, the whole population should be here, really. There should be riots and revolutions on the street, in my view. But it's because there's so much spin out there and there's so much misinformation. So that's our job as educators when we leave here, to make sure we get the facts out there and let people know what's at stake. It's our children's futures that are at stake. I don't want my child, my 10-year-old, to grow up thinking it's okay to lie. It's better to lie. I don't want him to think that he has to keep secrets. I don't want him to think that he's going to go to jail for telling the truth. But that's actually what he's learning at the moment. And it's being accepted as an entrenched, because our own Prime Minister is doing nothing about it, really. I'm sorry. But he's had 5 years, Anthony Albanese. The government, both governments have had 5 years since the warrant for extradition was executed by the US. 5 years. But 5 days before the appeal hearing, suddenly Anthony Albanese and his colleagues are signing a statement that they didn't even lead on, that they didn't even bring to Parliament, that someone else, Minister Wilkie, brought, who's been a fantastic advocate for Assange for many, many years. I think it's time that we started to really put pressure on our local members here, Janelle Saffin, state, and on Kevin Hogan at federal level. We need to be tweeting, Facebooking, Instagramming. That's the fifth estate. That's the only area that we have left that we've got some ability to speak freely. And we have to get on there. We have to take photos of tonight. We have to send it out there. We have to speak the truth. And we have to get it to as many people as possible. And we have to tag every single politician that we possibly can. Because it is time, Anthony Albanese, for megaphone politics. We are done with the supposed conversations that are happening behind closed doors. Because as we recently discovered through a subpoena, there was no conversation happening at all. We were told there was and there wasn't, and we knew there wasn't. So it's time to publicly denounce the extradition of Julian Assange. And that's what we all need to be doing when we leave here. We need to be calling for that. We need to be demanding of our politicians to stand up, speak up on the megaphone very publicly that this value of free speech is at the crux of our entire democracy. And if that goes, who are making the decisions? Who is able to speak freely? It's not you and I. It's a few people in Parliament or the vested interests that fill their pockets with political donations. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Hopefully that was uplifting and but it's the truth, and let's not be afraid of saying it. And when people stop being so negative, just take a step back and just inform them of what's at stake here. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the amazing music that's here tonight and the messages that we're going to hear through that music. So over to the next star, which is Gair. Is it Gair? Is it Lucie?
Lucie, she's only done one
Or is it
song.
Amber?
More Lucie.
More Lucie. Okay.
How blessed are we for Eddie?
Thank you for being the one man in all my life who wants to be here.
Oh, I don't know if I ever have told you, and I don't even know if you care, but you are the very amazing, oh, you that's ever been here and there and driving. You drive I know that this world is sometimes so hard to bear, but you gotta be the driver who care. I know that this world is sometimes so hard to bear, but you got to be the driver who care. 'Cause if you don't give a fuck, we'll go nowhere. So thank you, Assange. I know that this world is sometimes so hard to bear, but you are also very amazing, and thank you that you care. And keep on talking about it, keep on putting it out, 'cause there is no doubt. As Eddie says, we are the seeds of change. That's it. Was I taken for a ride? Was I taken unaware? Am I just too trusting in love, in care? But I know the truth is out there, the truth and the truth tellers. Oh, Julian, set him free, set him free, set him free. Ooh, I'm gonna repeat it. So Julian, yeah, set him free, set him free, set him free. Oh, Julian, set him free, set him free. Oh, Julian, set him free with every breath that we breathe here and now. I'm going to call on Amber to come up now. A powerful warrior of words. Dun, dun, da, da, dun.
That was epic. Lucie! Caring.
Wow, epic, Lucy. Call to arms. I'm Amber. My MC name is RASPZ, RASPZ. A bit of a dormant hip hop artist. Yvonne ran into me and said this is on, and I was like, oh, would you write something? Would you perform? I was like, I'll write something. So it's on my phone, as I only wrote it a few days ago, and tears were shed, and I've had arguments with people that I love about this, and I'm here, and I'm feeling it with you all, so I'm really glad to be here, and bear with me as I wrap this with you all. It's been a minute, but yeah, let's not be silenced. May every word be a prayer. Yo, listen up. I got a story to tell about Julian Assange, a man who fell into the depths of a system that's corrupt. They tried to silence him, but he stood up. A WikiLeaks, his weapon of choice, exposing secrets, giving power voice. But they couldn't handle the truth that he revealed, so try to come after him, make him yield. Julian Assange, locked in a cell, modern day hero, trapped in a hell. But we won't forget, we won't let him fade. Gotta fight for freedom, that's the crusade. Julian Assange, locked in a cell, modern day hero, trapped in a hell. We won't forget, we won't let him fade. Gotta fight for his freedom, that's the crusade. They called him a traitor, danger to all. But he's a messenger, answering the call. Expose the lies, corruption, the deceit. But they want to keep him silent in concrete suites. From the Ecuadorian embassy to Belmarsh prison. They tried to break him, but he won't listen. He's a symbol of truth and a beacon of light. We won't stop fighting till he sees the daylight. I said the daylight won't stop fighting till he sees the daylight. Julian Assange, locked in a cell, modern day hero, trapped in a hell. We won't forget, we won't let him fade. Gotta fight for his freedom, that's the crusade. Julian Assange, locked in a cell, modern day hero, trapped in a hell. We won't forget, we won't let him fade. Gotta fight for his freedom, that's the crusade. Now it's time for action, gotta take a stand. Gotta raise our voices, make them amplify. Injustice that he faces is a travesty. We need to unite, set Assange free. Governments and leaders need to step up, recognize his sacrifice and lift him up. He's a symbol of truth, a hero of our time. We won't rest until his freedom we find. Julian Assange, we stand by your side. We won't back down and we won't let you hide. The fight for justice, it won't be in vain. We'll keep on pushing forward till you're free again. Julian Assange, locked in a cell, modern day hero, trapped in a hell. But we won't forget, we won't let him fade. Gotta fight for freedom, that's the crusade. Yeah, we won't forget, we won't let you fade. Fight for freedom, that's the crusade. So we come together, we make our voices heard. We demand for justice for Assange. We demand for justice for Assange. Freedom, have courage. Let him be freed. Oh, Holy Spirit, let him be freed. Send him home. Enough, send him home. Thank you.
Oh, you made me cry.
I know.
Gotta use my cheat sheet because I only wrote this lyric sort of half last night and this morning, but the melody may be familiar to some of you. I borrowed it from the Beatles, and I don't feel too bad about it because my band Maximum Thrust has a song by the Beatles coming out on our vinyl LP, which will be coming out sometime this year. So we got it licensed through Sony ATV, so Sony. But Julian, this is for you, and this is based on the track Julia from the White Album.
Governments were telling lies, but one man stood to tell the truth. Julia, Julia, WikiLeaks calling out war crimes. So we sing a song of faith for Julia, Julia, proud Australian. War for gain must cease, so we press for your release, dear Julian. Their secret strategies were murderous. How dare the US seek to extradite when we cannot speak our hearts? We're in prison of kind. Julia, Julia, like John Lennon, brave and true hero. So we sing a song of faith for Julia. Peace will rule. We will rise. Oh, nice heroes. We will sing a faith song for Julia. Now as war looms center stage, the world bears witness, shares your rage. Julia, 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 censorship costs lives. Thanks for you, the world is wiser. Julia, Julia, Julia. Do you want a big ballsy song now? Do you have time for one more? A John Lennon tune? Is that all right?
I say yes.
Okay.
I say yes too.
Okay. This song is from the Imagine album. It's called Give Me Some Truth. Who wants some truth? Woo! Who wants truth?
I'll have two.
All right. Sick and tired of hearing things from uptight, short-sighted, narrow-minded hypocrites. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. I've had enough of hearing things from neurotic, psychotic, big-headed politicians. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. No short-haired cattle bellies on the tricky dickies, gonna follow hoppers off, so people just a pocket full of soul. Money for dough, money for rope. All I want is the truth, yeah. Just give me some truth. I'm sick to death of seeing things from tight-lipped women running from the mama's little chauvinist. All I want is the truth, yeah. Just give me some truth. I've had enough of watching scenes of schizophrenic evenings and paranoid. Sorry, I've had enough of watching scenes of schizophrenic evenings and paranoid. All I want is the truth, yeah. Just give me some truth.
Thanks, Lucy. Yeah! All right. May we borrow your stool for Gair, please?
I'm the most unorganised muso in history. I didn't bring. I sit down to play. Probably because I'm getting old and lazy. Okay, you got the old lazy muso now that sits down to play. And it's always the leads. Every gig. Everybody hear that out there? I can't hear anything. I think that'll do. Everybody hear that? Well, I'm another, obviously, die-hard Assange supporter from day dot, and wrote this song called Collateral Murder after becoming increasingly frustrated, talking to educated, I thought, switched-on people who unfortunately don't research and just watch the mainstream news. And I think it was a pivotal moment for me a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now, when I was speaking to somebody, and when I said, oh, you know, isn't that shit what's happening with Julian Assange, you know, sorry, it was a few years ago when I had this conversation, because that was when he was dragged out of the Ecuadorian embassy, and I was talking to someone, and I think they said something like, oh, aren't they still after him for those rape charges? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Excuse the language. You know, I just thought, like, are you kidding? You know, without having any other knowledge of it, it was about the rape charges, which now have come to light, you know, obviously to be fabricated as part of the sort of character assassination on him, and the rest is history. But anyway, so I wrote this song, Collateral Murder, and I feel very honoured because John Shipton heard the song and he's now playing it wherever and, you know, whenever, and I feel very honoured for that, because it is a bit of a Dylan-esque 7-minute song. And because I just felt the story had to be told after speaking to so many people who weren't aware of the full story of how, well, you know, many reasons, but Collateral Murder was, as most people here would be aware, I'd say, was the pivotal moment when he released the horrific footage in Baghdad of an Apache chopper just literally gunning down civilians, and to Reuters journalists as well, and kids in a car with their dad. And that's when the US literally went, okay, we've got to get this guy and make him the example of what happens when you dare to cross the powers of the be. And so anyway, it's called Collateral Murder.
Be quiet.
This is a story about a journalist named Julian Assange who told the truth because he found the evidence Oh, they had the proof of collateral murder committed by the US in Iraq. The images were brutal. Oh yeah, the images were stark. There's an Apache chopper. It's hovering in the sky. And over downtown Baghdad, 16 civilians are about to die. Oh, little did they know what was about to go down, because they were just standing around talking like we do when we're downtown. Yes, they were just standing around talking like you do when you're downtown. And then the guns started firing, taking them out one by one. You can hear the soldiers laughing and joking as they watched them run. And there were two Iraqi journalists reporting for Reuters at the scene. And they were both carrying their cameras, not guns, you can easily see it on the screen. But the soldiers said they were carrying weapons and looked like insurgents, but you can't see that on the screen. And the soldiers kept on firing, seemed like they were having fun. And they just kept on shooting. They were trying to kill everyone. They just kept on shooting. They were trying to kill everyone. And a man drove up in a van with two small children by his side. He hadn't done anything wrong. He had no reason to run and hide. He was only trying to help the wounded. But the soldiers sound like they're playing a game. They open fire on the children and the man, and the bullets keep falling like rain. One says you shouldn't bring your kids to a war, and they laugh with no conscience or shame. These are the things they don't want us to see. These are the images they won't see on TV. So if you don't keep quiet, or if you dare to speak, then you'll end up like that good man named Julian Assange from WikiLeaks, thrown into prison, falsely charged with espionage, while the real war criminals, oh well, they're still at large. The real war criminals, well, they're still at large, because those criminals started a war those civilians didn't ask for. Because those criminals started a war for the oil and the spoils those civilians didn't ask for. Because those criminals started a war for the oil and the spoils that they should be tried for. And so if you value your freedom of speech, then you better be like that good man named Julian Assange from WikiLeaks, and stand up for justice and your human rights by exposing the lies and the greed and the crimes that they want hidden from our sight. By exposing the lies and the greed and the crimes they want hidden from our sight. These are the things don't want us to see. These are the images you won't see on TV. started a war. Those civilians didn't ask for. Because those criminals started a war for the oil and the spoils. Those civilians didn't ask for. Because those criminals started a war for the oil and the spoils that they should be tried for. Because those criminals started a war. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's great that there's so many musos that have come up with their own individual incredible accounts of what's happening to Julian, and we're all praying for him today. And I think it's appropriate after what Eddie said before. I'm on a bit of a bandwagon. I've also written a song for Dave McBride, who's now, you know, absolutely entrenched in this whole big picture with Julian's dad, and you know, just another incredibly hunted whistleblower who's going to be sentenced, I believe, in 3 weeks in Canberra for telling the truth. And I actually spoke with Dave the other day, and he was I felt honoured that he felt honoured that I was going to record this song for him, because, you know, as a muso, that's what we do. Just that's all I can do is write a song, and hopefully, you know, it'll reach people somewhere, sometime. And this is actually called David McBride Blew the Whistle. and at the end of it, we've all got a whistle. It's one of those sort of, you know, audience participation ones. So. Very Australiana, because he was in the Australian Army. David McBride was filled with pride when he joined the Australian Army. It was a dream realised for David McBride to be serving his country. Some years before, he studied the law in Sydney, then Oxford University. But he knew from the start, deep in his heart, he was destined to be in the military. So he joined the British Army and gave his best for 6 years. And he rose to the ranks of a major, a position deserved for the way that he served with exemplary behaviour. But his home was Australia, and when he finally returned, he worked in the law as a barrister. But he felt unfulfilled, for in his heart still he was longing to be a soldier. And David McBride was filled with pride to be a lawyer in the Australian Army. And David McBride swore an oath to abide by the morals and laws of his country. So he had to make a stand when in Afghanistan he discovered some soldiers were killing innocent children, women and civilians, and the accounts were disturbing and chilling. And as the evidence grew of the sins of a few, well, he knew that he must do his duty and report what he knew, because it was true. He knew that he must blow the whistle. Sorry, it's still more. Now it goes. So he informed his superiors diligently. But his concerns and his fears just fell on deaf ears. They didn't want to hear about the guts and the gristle. But as a man of the law, and what he stood for. Well, he knew that he must blow the whistle. I can't whistle. We want whistling. Now his government's so vile, they've put him on trial for revealing hard truths to his nation. But the truth cannot die in the face of a lie, and the truth will be his vindication. And David McBride had the truth on his side the day that he blew the whistle. And may justice prevail for Julian and David. Thank you.
Is that okay? Too late? Too late? My name's Mick Stacey. Been a long-time peace activist, probably since I was a teenager actually, and for social justice. And I want to give a big shout out to a few people tonight. Firstly, people who are here. Next to Roy, who's been a real big campaigner for Julian for a long time now and made things happen. Got people to rallies like this. And two other special people in my life. One being Roger Waters from the Pink Floyd. He's been a long time campaigner for some sanity in the world. You can see the things that we see, the homeless people, the degraded welfare systems around the world, our Western world, and the massive expenditure on military and armaments that's in England, France, America, and Australia, sadly. So I want to shout out to Roger for doing what he does, and he does that at great risk, actually. But he's got a lot of supporters. But the next big shout out I want to give is to John Shipton. I've been fortunate enough to meet John a couple of times over in Byron Bay, and on both occasions I couldn't believe this man that was in front of me. He was so healthy looking, so enthusiastic about what he was doing. It just made me feel shameful actually sometimes, when I actually feel very sad and the opposite actually for the situation that's happening. But I always pick myself up, always have something to pick myself up, particularly my wife over there and my friends. So a huge big thank you to John, amazing human being. How he manages to do that, I have no idea. And I really, really do hope that this week brings some positive change for us all, actually, because as we know, the first victim of war is always the truth, and this is why we're here, for truth and peace. Thanks a lot. Bless you.
I hope you all don't mind, but I just want to tell a quick story that I forgot to tell before. And this is in a meme I received from several of my messenger groups, and it's quite a touching story. It's a true story about a high school teacher who went into his classroom and told all the students as they entered, "No one shall speak, you shall take your seats and remain silent. No one is to move from their seats, no one is to utter a sound. Anyone who breaks the rules will immediately fail my class." He had formed the desks in a circle, so the students were all facing each other. In the center of the circle, he put a desk with a goldfish bowl with a goldfish in it, a single fish. And as the students looked on, he dipped his hand in the bowl, took the fish out, and put it on the desk beside the bowl. And he said, "I'll be back in a few minutes," and he left the room. Well, the students were perplexed, bamboozled, frightened, enraged. All variety of emotions crossed their minds, as you can imagine. But they were all deathly afraid of being reported, failed, dobbed in, etc. Till finally, one young girl had the courage to stand up. She couldn't take it anymore. She went to the center of that circle and she took the fish off the desk and put it back in the bowl. And for me, that story made me cry, because it just made me realize that we are all students in that classroom, and Julian may be that fish, and there are many others like him. And if we don't stand up, if we don't bring our voices to be heard, that is how we fail. The way that we rise, the way that we succeed and bring peace and bring democracy and bring truth is by standing together and having the courage to say no. And I would just say to you, there have been whispers about bringing conscription back to get people over to Gaza and Ukraine. Is there anyone here who wants to go? No. Can I hear a big fat no? No! Hell no, we won't go! All right, that's all I wanted to say. So you can share that story even with the most recalcitrant family members and neighbors. They'll all get it. The goldfish story, okay? Thank you.
Anyone else want to say something? Get on up there.
Anyone else want to step up and say something?
Hello everybody.
Hello.
Is that all right? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Bring it up to you a little bit.
Closer.
Is that high enough for you?
Yes. Yeah, I've been following Julian for quite a few years now. I actually was in Alice Springs a few years ago. We had a group of people that we used to do the main shopping centre every week, just pass out information and get signatures in our whatever you call them. It's very interesting. You get to know a lot of how people think when you do stuff like that, expose yourself, So, had a lot of support, but a lot of really negative stuff too, and people wanting to shoot you and every stuff like that, it was quite full on in some places, so it just blows me away how this is happening, someone telling the truth and they're demonised for it, so like everybody said, we've got to stand up and speak our truth, so it's the same with the Aboriginal mob. I'm Aboriginal myself, so we know the story about all the lies and all that sort of stuff, so if you keep perpetuating a lie, it just keeps growing, so we've got to stand up and speak our truth, So whatever happens with Julian, I just hope he's free. But for me, it's quite full on what's happening. So maybe we should say to the American government, look, get out of Pine Gap or something like that, because they really depend on Australia for a lot of their stuff, you know, and they're treating us like idiots, you know, so, yeah, so I don't think, even with Donald Trump there, I don't think that's going to be, it's probably going to be worse, you know, so, yeah, so that's my little spiel anyway, folks, so, yeah, thank you very much for listening, and bless all of you for coming here today. To show you that you've got some conscience, you've got a heart, you've got, you want to know the truth, and you believe in the truth. So, what's that, Donald? Yeah, there's only one truth. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, so we all got to stand up for the truth, you know, and support each other. So, yeah, thank you very much anyway.
We don't really want to close this. What a beautiful evening. Look around and listen to the birds and the sunset. We're so lucky to live here. It's just gorgeous. And this is like an open mic. So if anyone just wants to come up and speak their truth while they can, just jump on up and do it. We're not asking anyone to leave, but I will say there's one person that always runs away before they can be thanked, that does so much work in this community, and I think often is so undervalued, and runs herself ragged, Yvonne Preston, for organising this, and all of the other events that we organise, and galvanising community and bringing community together. Like, I salute you, Yvonne. I see how hard you work for this community, so thank you for everything that you do. Now, one favour we can do for Yvonne tonight, perhaps paid forward, is there's a mailing list, Truth Not War, that's put this event on. It would be wonderful if that just gets passed around and everyone can put their email address on there. And yeah, I guess go get some food and bring it back here. That's what I was thinking of doing, seeing if the pizza shop's open or something. And bringing it back here, it's just too lovely to leave. People, musos, want to get up and have another strum, go for it.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Michelle Halliwell tāku anoa. Good evening, I'm Michelle Halliwell, I'm from southern New Zealand, in case you didn't guess. I've lived in Melbourne for 10 years and relocated to Corndale a week and a half ago, first time in New South Wales. Thank you. Just before Christmas I met somebody by chance when I was at a bar in Melbourne. And she turned out to have, I don't want to say her name, some people here may actually know her, but Stella and Julian certainly know her because she was their nanny before the world knew that their children existed. But that wasn't when Julian came to my attention. Julian came to my attention when I was heavily involved with the Occupy movement in 2011, back in my own hometown, when I occupied the centre of my city for 66 nights. So I followed the situation very closely ever since then, and I've always thought, what the hell, Australia? What are you doing? How can this be happening? I can't believe it's 13 years ago already. I'm bamboozled by this lack of freedom. I personally went to university and studied film and media, and I've always been a great believer and advocate for the truth and social justice. And so I really related to what, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name, the lovely lawyer lady that was just speaking before me. Yeah, sorry, we haven't met. Eddie, you're cool. Yeah, so thank you I really related to everything that you were saying, definitely on the same page, kindred spirits, as I'm sure most of us here are. Yeah, but I studied film and media with this and specialised in propaganda, and you know the word propaganda itself is really a neutral term. It's just about to propagate a message. But now I studied dictatorships and in that frame, and that brings me to the subject of democracy. And I'm confused about Australia as a democracy when I know for a fact, and a lot of you guys who were around at the Occupy days will remember, that one of Julian's comrades became the Prime Minister of Iceland. And she was involved with WikiLeaks as well. And how can that democracy be so much more progressive than ours? Yeah, Julian is a political prisoner. It's disgraceful. I pray so hard every day that he's going to be brought home and that the right decision will be made and justice will prevail tomorrow. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you.
Yeah, just my name's Roy Drew. I've set up the, as Yvonne mentioned earlier, Northern Rivers for New South Wales group on Facebook. So, we're the second flood town. We're in Mullumbimby. We've come down tonight. So thanks to the organisers and thank you to the town of Lismore for putting this together. It's a global event, as Yvonne pointed out, and the video and so on that we took will travel around the world as part of the X Day, while the hearing is taking place, day 2 tomorrow. And I won't go through, Eddie's covered a lot of the kind of legal, she mentioned the legal side. You can get to it's being transcripted. Day 1 is already up on the Consortium News Facebook page. Kathy Vogel, some of you maybe met Kathy, and Joe Laurie, the editor, they're in the court and they're producing a transcript as it goes. There's morning 1 and morning 2 are on there now, and of course the place is just, Britain is just, the court is coming in about now for day 2, and it's very interesting to follow it through. All the questions that have been, the defence team is getting a chance to air issues around Julian's case, the violation of due process and so on, the violation of his abuse of his rights. That is all. The defence now is getting the opportunity to at least air those things in court for the first time. They have not had an opportunity, the way the whole thing's been set up, to get those issues on the table, into the courts, into the public domain in a much wider way. Who knows how it's going to go? Some people are saying the judges are not hostile, which is like, that's good, because they were hostile before. The magistrate was hostile. The magistrate leant always towards the prosecution. But then Harafson, who is the editor of WikiLeaks, the CEO of WikiLeaks, he tried to sit in the court. No, he was told he had a place. It's the smallest court in the complex, the Royal Courts complex. And so they created an annex room. He went into the annex room with other journalists and so on. The audio's crap. Even Kathy Vogel and Joe Laurie tried to grant the mic for the court, for the audio, for journalists, is next to the typewriter of the court transcriptors, so they're having huge trouble. The techno age we're living in, they can't even get the audio sorted out. It's like powdered wigs, inky legal clerks with goose quill pens. That's the atmosphere, This is the 21st century, for Christ's sake. So it's all deliberate, I would say, to continue to deny the public this information and deny Julian his proper, audience, his proper rights, and so on. So, anyway, I do recommend, it's quite easy to follow through the best they can. They're getting it down on Consortium News, and there is the live stream going as well. And also, I heard David Shoebridge from Australia speaking, Susan Sarandon, the actress, which brings me to the point really. The film Trust Fall, the story of Julian Assange, is a movie put together, directed by Kim Staten, who is a local man from Ocean Shores. We saw the preview, he invited us to the preview, and then he had it on at the Brunswick Playhouse, packed house. It started to show, they've had 10 showings at the Independent Cinema at New Farm in Brisbane. There was such a demand, the cinema just kept putting it on, and they've had 10 houses, full houses. It's been on in Mareeba, a number of places now. Blue Mountains are getting it. I'm not sure if it's been in Sydney. It had a showing at the the Parliament in Canberra to parliamentarians, and I know that Kim is organising, national distribution for the film. But the big thing is that he's in London, and Kim's there now, it's had a showing in London, and there were people queuing around the block on the eve of the hearing. And it's just to let you know, look out for it. I mean, I think it's coming to Murwillumbah in the not too distant future, so we'll put plenty of publicity out for Kim about that to get people to rock up to the Regent Theatre in Murwillumbah. Tarragalli, the late great John Pilger, I think Stella speaks, Gabriel speaks is in the film, Daniel Ellsberg is in the film, and yeah, a number of others. Tarragalli, did I say that? And a number of others, and it really does brings out who Julian is and what he's done and the whole nature of his persecution. So I just recommend that you look at it. It's called The Trust for Julian Assange. It's running through Facebook big time. Kim is on there every day, and I circulate it, and I guess others are circulating as much as. So there's plenty of knowledge, understanding, some insight into what the film is. So anyway, once again, thanks to Yvonne for putting this together, and thank you, Lismore, and #stand and fight for Assange. Thank you very much.
Thank you.